QuickBooks Online 2021, class tracking and location tracking. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Online 2021. Here we are in our QuickBooks Online practice file. In prior presentations, we set up the 30-day free trial. We then turned on the class tracking, and you could do so by going to the cog up top, going to the account and setting, then into the advanced settings, turning on both class tracking and location tracking. The two things being similar, but having some slight differences as well. You want to think carefully as to when you want to use class tracking and location tracking. We're going to do a little bit more of that this time as we use both features in the same file. Let's see what we have done thus far by opening up our reports. I'm going to duplicate some tabs up top. Let's make some multiple tabs to duplicate. We'll make 3 tabs, right-clicking on the tab up top, duplicate. I'm going to do it again, right-click on the tab up top, duplicate, and another time right-click on the tab up top and duplicate once again. We're going to be opening up our profit and loss report, profit and loss by class, profit and loss by location. Thus far, we've been using the class tracking feature. So we're going to go down to our reports down below, going to go on down to the reports, and we're going to be opening up then the P&L, the profit and loss, otherwise known as the income statement. Now you could do so by just opening up the normal income statement and then changing it to by class, but you can also just find the transactions by class or the preset reports by class by simply typing in up top class. We got a profit and loss, we got purchases, sales, and so on. We're going to take a look at the P&L, profit and loss by class. Going up top, we got the date range from 01/01/21 to 12/31/21. Let's go ahead and run that report. Close up the burger, hold control, scroll up just a bit, and there's what we have. This is what we left off with last time. Let's open up a couple other reports. Go into the tab to the left. I'm going to then go down to the reports. Let's take a look at a report by location. We set up or turned on locations. We have not run any reports by it yet, or we haven't entered data for it yet. So if I type in location up top, you see once again we have the profit and loss by location, purchases, sales, and so on. I'm going to open up the profit and loss by location now and do the date range change up top and go from 01/01/21 to 12/31/21, run it. And there we have that item, closing up the hamburger. And then I'm going to go to the tab to the left here, open up the balance sheet report just so we have it in case we want to jump on back to the balance sheet, even though that's not our main focus. Notice on the balance sheet, we don't have profit and loss or locations by class or location on the balance sheet unless we had an advanced rather than, pro or pro plus on it. So it may be possible if you level up to have the profit and loss by class or location. The balance sheet by class and location, but here, no. And 12/31/21, and we're going to say run that. And there's what we have on the balance sheet, closing up the hamburger. Now, what we've done last time is work in classes. So if I go back to the first tab over here, we've got our classes. Classes are usually the default structure that you will want to be using if you only want kind of like one layer of a vertical type of breakout. So that could work if, for example, you're like a sole proprietor that has 2 different locations. For like a medical office, let's say you got 2 different locations, or you want to be breaking out between location 1 and location 2, or you have 2 different departments or something like that you want to be breaking out between location 1 or location 2, 2 different profit centers or allocations within a particular location that you want to be breaking out. And the reason, as we've discussed in the past, you want to use class tracking most likely is that when you go into the actual form, for example, if we take a look at this type of form and go into it, and this is an expense type of form, you can see that we broke this expense form out using 2 separate classes with 1 actual form here. And you can do that with classes. You cannot do that with the location. You can see here location being up top, not in a line by line breakout. Therefore, I can only assign 1 location to this entire expense form, whereas I can assign 2 different classes to the expense line items down here with the use of the classes. So that's going to be one of the major differences you want to keep in mind. That's why you're normally going to look at classes first. There could be an exception to that. One would be if you want 2 separate locations and you have an advanced version where you're basically using a balance sheet which you can break out by class or location. In that case, you may want to restrict every transaction to only having one location so that the balance sheet by location will not be out of balance by location, right? Otherwise, if you break it out by class, it could throw off the balance sheet by class. So in that case, the location being restricted to transactions could help you to make sure to be more likely to not have your balance sheet be kind of messed up when you're running a balance sheet by location. But we're not worrying about that here because we're focusing in on the income statement primarily here. So that means that even if you have two separate locations, and you're a doctor's office and you have two separate locations or something like that, you may still want to use the classes for your purposes because you can use that breakout method. If you have, for example, an expense you don't know how to it should be allocated, it's not allocated to one office or the other, you can use some kind of percentage method and break it out with directly in the expense form with the use of classes. You can't do so with the locations. If you have something like a personal account and a business account in one QuickBooks file, then again, you can break out some kind of expenses that you might be allocating partially to business and personal with the one expense form. If you use classes, you can't do so with the location tracking. But the location tracking gives you another dimension, because notice if I add another class here, let's say that this is Division 1, Division 2, and I have two different locations. Let's say that have expenses that I'm breaking out between selling and admin, and two different basically profit centers or something like that, profit or cost centers within them, which I'm going to call Division 1 or Division 2, Profit Center 1, Profit Center 2, Cost Center 1, Cost Center 2, or something like that, in two different locations. Then it could be useful to add the other layer of the locations, because that way then I can run, say, this report for location 1, breaking out between Division 1 and Division 2. If I was to add a location on top of this, it would be another column up top. And I don't want another column. What I want is to run another report, which would be by location, right? So now I have this whole other report that I can basically break out by location. Now, I haven't assigned any locations here at this point in time. Therefore, there's nothing in this report by location. It's not specified, so I need to go in and specify all these transactions to basically the proper location. And that's what we'll work on doing now, so we can see that added breakout of location. Also, just note that when you're then filtering reports, for example, if I was to go to this report here and I went to my filtering options up top and I customize this report and I go down to my filters, then I can typically filter by class and location. So even though this is a profit and loss by class, I can then say I want to look at it by class and then limit it to the location. It's not going to add a column up top, but it'll limit the transactions to a particular location here. And then I can choose the location 1 or 2. I don't have any locations at this point, but notice again, that filtering option is a key part of this as well that can be really nice. So let's go into this. I'm gonna go to the second tab over here. This is my new thing where we're gonna add locations. I'm gonna go into all these transactions and add the location. These all go in, I'm gonna say, to location 1, and then I'll add some more transactions that will go to location 2. So I'm just gonna go to each one of these, drill down on it, simply add location 1. So I'm going to go in here, drill down on my data. This is going to be for the 10,000, and I'm going to allocate this simply to location number 1. So location number 1 for this item, save it and close it. And that has been allocated out. I'm going to go back then to my report. And so now I've got location 1 and not specified. I'm just going to do this all the way down. I'm going to go into every transaction. There's not too many of them, so hopefully this will not be too tedious, and break this out between location 1 here. So I'm going to save that and save that. And so now we've got that broken out to location 1. And so we're going to say, all right, that looks good. And then the next item, I'm going to go back down. Hold on a second. Profit and loss by location. I closed it somehow. Location, profit and loss by location. Opening it back up. Okay, so now let's go to these items down below. I'm going to say, now let's pick up this 60 here. So notice here we broke it out between two different classes, but I'm going to have one location. So that means it's like I have one office that I'm breaking it out, say, between two profit centers in one location. Let's say I got one state or another state. This one's in California. This one's in, Arizona or something like that. Then you could break it out, and then you'd have two different classes down here and possibly selling and then the admin for those locations as well. So I'm going to say this is going to be for location 1. I'm going to save it and close it. I'm going to scroll back up top and bring this on back to our report, and then I'm going to do this all the way down. So this is going to be this item. Also go into location 1. So within location 1, we'll say like the California office, we're breaking it out between Division 1 and Division 2, or Profit Center 1, Profit Center 2 in the selling and admin categorization for that location, for California versus, say, Arizona, location 1 being California, for example. And then I'm going to go back up top and say, all right, let's do the next one. We got the 750. Let's go into that item. We're going to go into that. This one is all going to Division 2, and I'm going to say this is location 1, so California Division 2, we're saying, for example. And then I'm going to go back on over and keep going down. We're going to say this, the 375. Let's pick that up. And this one I'm going to say is Division 1. And this has within Division 1, within, let's say, California, we got breaking out between the, California location 1. Then we have the Profit Center or Department 1 and 2 under admin versus selling. So we're going to say, all right, save it and close that. And so there is that one. And then scrolling back up top, we then got a couple more to apply this out. So I'm going to say, let's go into this one. This will then also be location number 1. Save it and close it. Scrolling back up to the top, we're going to go back 2 more times, and we have to do something new. We got to stop this, even though this is good times. Good times. So this one we did with basically the journal entry. We then allocated out with the journal entry between the divisions. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say this is going to be location 1. Save it and close it. So I'm going to say save and close. And then I'm just going to go into all of these items and say this is all going to be Division 1, or location 1, I should say. Location 1. Location 1. Save it and close it. So this whole transaction has the same location in it. Scrolling back up top. And then let's do the next item, scrolling up top, back to our report. And now we've got the 400. We'll bring that to location 1. So I'm going to say this is going to be location number 1. And then I think we have one more here. I thought that was the last one, but it's not. We get to do it one more time for this 600 right there that I missed. One more time. We get the good times keep on rolling. One more. Location 1. Save it. Close it. And so there we have that. And then back to our report. So now if we look at locations, now they're all allocated to location 1. And then if I go back to my report by class, running the report by class, we have Division 1, Division 2 within location 1, right? And now I could customize this report if I wanted to. And if I want to see everything by location, by filtering by location, I can then say, all right, I want to see the filter of just simply location 1, which will of course be the same report, because I allocated everything to Division 1. If I then go to location 2, and I say I want location 2, but not location 1, there's nothing there at this point in time. So that filtering option allows us to do that filtering. Let's turn off that filter. And now let's add some data for location 2. So we'll do a similar kind of process, just adding data. So I'm going to go to the first tab. Let's add some income. I'm going to make another new. Let's make an invoice. And we're going to be building basically location 2 here. So let's go customer. We'll just have any customer will do. Invoice date 0120. Let's say 21. We're going to say it's an inventory item quantity 2. And that's going to give us our 70,000. So this is going to have cost of goods sold related to it as well, which I think is going to be the 30,000. We're going to assign the location, which I'm going to say this time location 2. I'm going to say this is location 2. And on the class side of things, we're going to say this is going to go to the D1 profit center, we're going to say. So this is a second location. We're imagining like Arizona now versus California. And then the D1 profit center, which would be like the profit center 1, department 1, we're saying. Okay, I'm going to say save it, and let's say save and new. Let's do one more here, and this is going to go then, if I scroll back up top, we're going to say customer 1, and let's make this the service. So this is going to be item. I think I just called it item, a service item. Let's make this for, 1,000, and we'll say that this is going to go to the department or profit center 2, once again, location 2, profit center 2. Location 2, profit center 2. So I'm going to say save and close on that one. Save it and close it. And so now let's see what happens here. I'm going to go, okay, let's go then back to my profit and loss by class. I'm going to run it. So here's my profit and loss by location. Profit and loss by location. Location 1 and location 2, we have these broken out now for location 1 and location 2. Then if I want to drill down on location 1 and 2 and look at the divisions within it, I can then go to the next profit and loss by class. I can run it for the total. That gives me total for basically division 1 and division 2, but I might want to restrict then this report by using my filters now. So if I went to my customize up top, and then I filtered it by location for 2 now, location 2. Now I filter down, so D1 and D2 here, I'm filtering down. I'm sorry, did I filter by location? I filtered by location 2, right? So this is location 2, and then department 1 and department 2 for location 2, like in Arizona, we're imagining here. So that's one way we can kind of break this out. If I go back on over and keep on constructing the data here, I'm going to go back on over and say, let's add some expenses. So I'm going to say we got a new item, and I'm going to make it an expense item here. And we'll say that this is going to be an expense item on 120, okay. And let's go down and say that we had like auto expense. And this is going to be, I'm going to break it out again. Let's say like 500 for D2. And then we'll say 60200 is going to be, let's say 100 for D1. And then this is going to be for location 2. So there we have that. I'm going to say save and new. Let's just add a couple of these items here. And the next one, we'll say category is going to be, let's say we could have an automobile for the admin side of things. And then we'll say 200 for D2. And then 70200, we're going to say 100 for D1. And this is for location number 2. Let's say save and new on that one. Save and new. Hitting the drop down, we're going to say another expense item, computer and internet. And let's say computer and internet is going to say 20 for D1. And 61200 is going to be 110 for D2. Once again, location 2 we're working on. We're thinking like the second office, the 7th location. Save and new. Let's pick up another one. Scrolling down. Let's say we got bank charges. We're going to say this is going to be $30 for D1 and 70400. And we'll say 60 for D2. Save and new. And next item, we're going to pick up another one. We'll say insurance, payroll, meals. I think we had meals before, so I'll say meals. We're going to say is 570 for D1. And then we've got the 64300, 64300, and we've got the 1060 for D2. And this is all location 2. I'm going to say save and close this time. Let's see what we have thus far. So we'll save it and close it. And now if I go to my locations here, I can then go to my profit and loss by location, run this report. So now we got location 1 and location 2, which are basically breaking out by location 1, location 2. Then we have the detail down here for the selling and the admin in terms of the expenses. Selling and admin for the expenses, breaking out the information by location. Now, if I want then the classes that are going to be in there, Division 1 and Division 2 for location 1 and 2, so we're imagining location 1 like California, location 2 Arizona, then this includes both profit centers, we're saying, kind of grouped together. If I want to look at, California and Arizona for Division 1 in each of those locations, right, then I can go to my filtering options up top and say, all right, let's customize this and go to my filters here. I'm going to say filter, and I want to then go down to my locations and say, I just want to see not locations. We want to here go to the classes and see that we just want to see the profit center 1 per location. So now we're looking at profit center 1, our first profit center activity by location. So this is profit center 1 for the first location like California, profit center 1 for the second location like Arizona, and we could do a comparison such as that. Obviously we can filter the other way too. I can customize and say we want to look at profit center 2 as it relates to, say, California or Arizona, right? Profit center 2, breaking that information out as it relates to the two locations. Or we can then go to the profit and loss by class and run this report. And now we're looking at our profit centers by basically D1 and D2 for both locations being, say, like California and Arizona. So now we're trying to see which basically profit center, a comparison of profit center to profit center. And then if I want to see the profit center like D1 and then allocate, profit center D1 and D2 allocated by location, we can then go up top and customize the report down up here. I had L2 on it, so if I had no filters, this is what it looks like with no filters. So now we've got profit center 1, profit center 2. These are the two kind of like profit centers within the locations of, say, California and Arizona, location 1 and location 2. Then we can sort that and say, okay, now I want to break it down by location. So now we'll just look at location 1 like California, for example, and this is the D1 or profit center 1 or profit center 2 simply for that location, say California. If I want to break it out, then location 2 and see that. So there, now we've got location 2, like Arizona for profit center 1 and profit center 2. So you can see how these two reports can be nice, that you have two different basic kind of reports that will be breaking out by class and then locations, and that gives you kind of another layer of sortability. But obviously, again, with that other layer of sortability, you got to think, okay, which items do I want to, you want to put good thought into, which items do I want to put by class, which by location, and then remember to think about, the idea of allocating between areas. If you have to do any kind of activity-based allocating or something like that, and you want to do those with the actual forms, expense forms, invoices, allocating to different things with those forms, you got to use class tracking. And then with the location tracking, you're going to use the entire form, allocating to one thing with the entire form, which you can then adjust possibly with journal entries if you need to make adjustments in that way, which in some ways might be a good way to do it in any case.